Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalam ala ashraf al-anbiya wal mursaleen, amma ba'du. Then we continue, and we have our 10th hadith today. In the last couple of days we had longer hadith if we're trying to memorize them, which we should be doing, right? And these classes require a lot of memorization. If you haven't memorized the surah, memorize it. If you haven't memorized the hadith, memorize it. When it comes to the poetry, in 2 weeks now, you got 2 lines of poetry. It's not much. There's also some poetry terminology you could benefit and learn from, but you have 2 lines of poetry. When it comes to Aqidah, Usul Sunnah of Imam Ahmed, inshallah ta'ala, we try to memorize it. When it comes to Nahu, we memorize the rules. Maybe not word for word, right? But the Quran we memorize. The Hadith we memorize. The Aqidah we memorize. The poetry we memorize, right? These are things that require efforts from us. But, inshallah ta'ala, in fiqh, there's vocabulary words. Even if you don't memorize the Hadith, even if you don't memorize the ayat or the surah eventually, there are vocabulary words which you should be memorizing. There are vocabulary words which you should be memorizing so that you can understand it. You can understand it without needing a dictionary. So you have to memorize the vocabulary words. And if you memorize the vocabulary words, wallahi, it's going to become easier to memorize the actual text. Right? So this hadith is bayanu hukmi at-tayammuni fil umuri. At-tayammun. And it's going to be inside of our hadith here. At-tayammun. At-tayammun, coming from ya mim noon, meaning to on the right. At-tayammun, meaning here to begin with the right, as he says down here. Right? To use the right hand or to begin with the right hand. Right? Fil umur, in affairs or matters. The clarification of the ruling of using the right hand. Fil umur, in affairs. Al-hadith al-ashir, the 10th hadith. An Aisha radiyallahu anha. And Aisha is mamnu min as-sarf. So it is majroor with the Fatah here, radiyallahu anha, may Allah be pleased with her. Qalat, she said, Kana Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam would or used to yu'jibuhu. It used to, or he used to like. It used to be something that he liked. Yu'jibuhu, from Ain Jim Ba. Ain Jim Ba here, yu'jibuhu, a'jaba yu'jibu, meaning from form 4, meaning to like something. It could be used in a word of amazement as well, but it's not really here any type of amazement. Rather, he liked it, right? He liked it, he preferred it. Let me see if I could get a different word here that makes more sense for us. To be pleased with, to be delighted, it's the same thing, right? He would like to, basically, right? Yu'jibuhu, who here meaning him, meaning the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. At-tayammun, at-tayammun was something delightful to him, was something that he liked. Fi tana'ulihi. And this is the beauty of the Arabic language. Because there's no other language, Allah knows best, that has these types of words. Tana'ulihi. From noon, ayn, lam. Right? Even tayammun, in and of itself, is a word which is an amazing word. Tayammun means what? It means to begin or to use the right. Right? So we don't have words like that in there. We have to say to begin with the right. We have to say all those words. To begin with the right. They say at-tayammun. The Arabs, and we're going to be Arabs, we say at-tayammun. Right? Tana'ul. Tana'ul is to put on your shoes. Your ni'al. Noon, ayn, lam. Your shoes. To put on shoes. We say, or the English speaking people say, to put on shoes. We say tana'ulihi, or tana'ul. Right? Tana'uli. My putting on shoes. Right? Tana'ulihi. He used to love, he used to prefer, he used to be pleased with at-tayammun fi tana'ulihi. Basically, to put on his right shoe first. At-tayammun, to do the right foot when putting on his sandals or his shoes. Right? وَتَرُجُّلِهِ. And here's another one of those words. From Ra, Jim, Lam. Right? This is form 5. And it means combing the hair. As we will see. Right? Where does it come from? Rajul is a man. Rijal is a leg or a foot. How does tarajjul? Allahu alam. I've asked this question to a couple different people and they didn't know the origin, how it got to meaning to comb the hair, but that's what it means. Tarajjul. Tarajjul is to, right, comb the hair, and it's majroor after fi. Fi tana'ulihi wa tarajjulihi. Right, and combing the hair, wa tuhurihi, and in his tuhur, meaning his making wudu or ghusl. He used to wash the right side and then the left. Wash the right hand and then the left. The right arm and then the left. The right foot then the left. Right? Now, if a person makes wudu and he washes the left and then the right, makes the ghusl, he washes the left, there's nothing wrong with it. It's khilaf as-sunnah. It's the opposition of the sunnah, but his tahara, his purification is acceptable. Even though the sunnah is to begin with the right. Kana Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam yu'jibuhu at-tayammun. He used to love to begin with the right, but that doesn't mean you have to. Right? Wa fi sha'nihi kullihi. And in his affair, his sha'n, which is like amr, right? Kullihi. And in all of his affairs. He used to love to start with the right in all of his affairs. And we know that that means, or to use the right hand, and we know that that means for all affairs which are praiseworthy and good. Right? And anything which is negative, then he started with the left. Right? So, he didn't, tana'uli, when he put on his shoes, he didn't take them off as well with his right foot first. Rather, he took the left off first. Right? And when he stepped into the masjid, he stepped in with his right foot. And when he stepped out of the masjid, he stepped out with his left foot. Right? They say whenever you enter a place which has more virtue than the place you're in, you go in with your right foot. And when you go into a place that has less virtue than the place that you're in, you enter with your left foot. Right? That's why they say you use the bathroom. And when you enter the bathroom or the place where you're going to relieve yourself, then you enter with your left foot. There's no hadith for this. There's no hadith which specifically dictates to us that we enter the bathroom with our left foot. But it's from the hadith like this, that when he would go somewhere, he would enter with his right foot, when he would leave out with his left foot, showing when he entered the masjid, he entered the best place on the earth, the most beloved place on the earth to Allah is the masajid. Then he entered with his right foot, and when he entered out of that best place to the dunya, a place which is less than that, where there's business and selling and buying and trading and affairs of the dunya, then he entered into that with his left foot. So when you enter into your house from that dunya, your house is a safeguard for you. It is a safety. It is called a meskin. It's a place where there is sakina, a place where there is tranquility for you from all that outside stuff. Right? So you enter into your house with your right foot, right? And when you enter into your bathroom to use the bathroom, you're now entering a filthy place where there are khubuth and khaba'ith, where there are filthy jinn, male and female. So we say, you know what? I'm going to enter in there with my left foot. But there's no clear hadith for that, right? But as an example, kana Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam yu'jibuhu at-tayammunu fi tana'ulihi wa tarajjulihi wa tuhurihi wa fi sha'nihi kulli. Any questions?
Yeah. Is kulli mudaf alayh?
No, kulli is a sifa. All of them. It's an adjective. It is agreeing with this. Sha'nihi
All of them, not all of his.
All of no. Sha'nihi. Sha'ni. His affair. Kullihi. All of it. All of his affair. But we don't really, in English, we don't really say in his affair, all of it. Basically, we would say all of his affairs, right? But we mean his affair, meaning as a whole, all of his situation, right? But we would say his affairs. We wouldn't say it in the singular. And you could say it in Arabic, shu'unihi, but here, sha'nihi, in his affair, kullihi, all of it, right? So the first he is for him, meaning the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Kulli is describing sha'ni, and kullihi is referring back to the sha'n as well. Kulli is describing it, and he is referring to that affair. As Muhammad says, emphasis, naam, all of it, or to let you know that it means in all of it. While he's typing, inshallah ta'ala. Yu'jibuhu at-tayammun, that he used to like or prefer or used to be pleased with this tayammun. He also read that when a singular comes as mudaf, it means plural. Possible. I don't know that to be the case in all the time. It says Rasulihi. Allah is Rasulihi. The Prophet ﷺ is Rasulihi. Rasul is not is not plural here. It can maybe carry that, but doesn't mean it is always going to carry it. You have to be I understand. Yeah. Ni'matullah here is if you were to count the favors of Allah and you use the singular here, I understand. However, it's not a rule that's going to carry across the board. It can be, but it's not a rule. Like we said, it's going to be from the context. As I said, Rasulihi wa Muhammad Rasulihi. Is Rasul here now plural because it's mudaf? No. Right? It's from the context. Right? If you were to count the favor of Allah, if it was one favor, right? You could count that one. I'm done. But that's not what's obviously meant from the context. Right? So, yu'jibuhu at-tayammun, that it would, at-tayammun, this starting or using the right hand would be something that he was pleased with. Means isti'mal. From Ain, Mim, Lam, isti'mal, to use. Form 10 here. To use. Al-yad al-yamin. Isti'mal al-yad al-yamin. To use the right hand. Wal-bad'u. And to begin. Al-bad'u. Right? Like the word bidaya. Right? Al-bad'u bil-yamin. Fi kulli. To begin with the right in every ma huwa sharif, in every everything what huwa sharifun, what is honorable, wa tahir wa tayyib, and clean and good. So he would eat with his right hand and it's prohibited to eat with your left, right? And he would, when he would get his hair cut or shaved, when he made Hajj or Umrah, he would start with the right side, right? When you get a haircut, you start with your right side. When you trim your mustache, you start with your right side. This trimming your mustache is an act of ibadah. Why are we trimming it? Because the Prophet ﷺ commanded us to trim it. This is part of the fitrah, to trim our mustache. When we shave our underarms, we start with our right side. Why? Because it's an act of ibadah, right? And it's a good thing, right? Tahir, this has got to do with purity, right? Something to do with purity. When he entered in the masjid, Mahu Sharif, entering into the masjid, leaving out of the bathroom. You're leaving from a bad place to a better place. Leave out with your right foot, right? When you do tahir, right? When you are doing something with purity, you do wudu. You start with your right hand, then your left hand, and your right arm, then your left arm, and your right foot, and then your left foot. When you cut your hair, you start with the right and then the left. When you make a ghusl, you start with your right side, then your left side, right? All of these things, at-tayyib, anything. If you're going to put on oil, put it on the right side and then the left. Anything which is good, then you do it like this. وَتَنَعُلِهِ, or here, we don't have any fee here, تَنَعُلُهُ, right? Lubsu النِّعَل. Lebsu, it could be lebsu or lubsu, I think, but let me look real quick. I think it can be both. Yeah, lebs or lubs, either way. It could be a fata or a dhamma. Lebs or lubs, meaning to put on, to wear. A ni'al. Ni'al, right, is the sandals or the shoes. وَهُوَ الْحِذَاء. As it says here, وَهُوَ الْحِذَاء. And ni'al is the hida, the shoes. To put on the shoes, you start with your right foot first. The Prophet ﷺ used to love that. Now, if a person puts on his left sock first, or his right sock, his left sock or his left shoe first, it's not haram, but it's opposite of what is, recommended by the Prophet ﷺ. Tarajjulihi, and to comb his hair, as we see, is tasrihu sha'rihi bil misht. Could be misht or musht, right? Tasrih from sarraha, yusarrihu, means to untangle, to disband, right? In nighttime, your hair, they get like this, so you want to disband them where they're like this. You want to untangle them, right? Sarraha yusarrihu tasrihu sha'rihi, to untangle the hair bil misht or musht. Musht is a comb, right? A comb, right? A comb. So take this comb and untangle your hair, right? That's a tarajjul, a tarajjul. Then tuhurihi bidam at-ta, bidam at-ta, meaning with the damma on the ta, as we see here. Tuhurihi, right? Yashmilu, meaning it, sheen mim lam, means it contains and encompasses al-wudu wal-ghusl. It contains or encompasses al-wudu and al-ghusl, right? Tuhurihi, all of this. We begin with our right side in tuhur, in the wudu and in the ghusl. وَفِي شَأْنِهِ كُلِّهِ, and in all of his affairs, فِي الْأُمُورِ الشَّرِيفَةِ الْمُسْتَطَابَةِ, in the affairs which are sharifa. And sharifa here has a ta marbuta because umur is a non-intellectual plural, so we treat it as feminine singular, so we say sharifa. Wal mustataba, coming from ta ya ba, right? Like the word tayyib. Mustataba, meaning also things which are pleasurable, which are good, like tayyib, things which are good and pleasurable and nice, then anything like that, we begin with the right side, or the Prophet ﷺ used to prefer that. Any questions about that? طيب من فوائد وأحكام الحديث أولا مشروعية البدء باليمين في الوضوء والغسل. The مشروعية, the legislation of البدء, of the beginning, باليمين, with the right, في الوضوء والغسل. Not wadu, wadu, but the fatah is the water. What wudu is the action, right? To begin with the right, the legislation of beginning with the right in wudu and ghusl. ثانيا مشروعية البدء برجل اليمنى برجل اليمنى. Yumna is the feminine of yamin. Why is it feminine? Because we have 2 feet, right? 2 legs. And so therefore it's feminine, right? برجل اليمنى في لبسي or lebsi, right? Lubsi, lebsi, whichever one. النعل, the shoes, right? And this is مضاف إليه. في لبسي النعل, the wearing the shoes, right? وكذلك لبسي or لبسي الخفين, wearing the leather socks. والجوارب, jawarib are regular socks, cloth, cotton socks, right? Jawarib are cloth and cotton socks, right? والثياب, and your clothes. When you put on your shirt, you put your right arm in first. You put on your pants, you put your right leg in first, right? You put on your shorts, right leg first. Put on your coat, right arm first, right? Put on your gloves when it's cold out, right arm first, right hand first. ثالثا مشروعية البدء باليمين في كل شيء. The مشروعية, the legislation of beginning with the right in everything. ويستثنى, and this comes from tha noon alif maksura or ya, and it's form 10, meaning to be an exception, to be removed from the rule, an exception from that rule. ويستثنى من ذلك, and removed from that, ما ورد الشرع, right? ما ورد الشرع, what comes الشرع بالبداءة, right? بالبداءة فيه باليسار. The yustathna min dhalik is exception from that, and an exception to that rule. Ma warada ash-shar'u, what has come in the shar', or what the legislation has come with. Warada, to come, or to bring. Ma warada, what the shar' has brought. Bil bada'ati fihi, for the beginning with it or in it. Bil yasar, with the left. Yasar is the opposite of Yameen. Ka dukhuli al-hamam. Ka, like dukhul al-hamam, like entering into the bathroom. Like entering into the bathroom. Wa izalatil adha. Right? Izalati. Izala from zay, waw, lam, meaning to remove. Izalatil adha, to remove adha, harm. Or here it could be like impurities, meaning to clean yourself when using the bathroom. You use your left hand for that. Wa khal'i, and it's khal'i because of ka. which makes the noun after it majroor. كخلع in خا lam ain, خلع normally, or خلع يخلع, meaning to remove. Like to remove your clothes, to get undressed. Right? وخلع نعال, and taking off the shoes. وثياب. So, when you get undressed, you take your left glove off first. You take your left sleeve off first on your jacket. Your left sleeve off first on your shirt. Your left pants leg off first. Your left sock off. Your left shoe off. Your left, when you take your shorts off, your underwear, whatever, your left side off first. When getting dressed, you put on your right side. When getting undressed, you take off your left side first. فَيَبْدَأُ فَيَبْدَأُ from bada'a yabda'u. فَيَبْدَأُ بِالْيَسَارِ. So you begin with the left. فِي هَذِهِ, in these. فِي هَذِهِ, in these things. Like فِي هَذِهِ الْأُمُورِ. But umur is not there, right? But that's what it means. فِي هَذِهِ الْأُمُورِ وَمَا أَشْبَهَهَا. And what? Or مَا أَشْبَهُهَا. وَمَا أَشْبَهُهَا. Mean and what is similar to them. When we said shibh, like we said shibhu jumla, right? Or shibhu jazira, like the what is similar to those things. So whatever else you might think of as being a bad thing, then you start with your left side, right? Whatever else that you might consider to be a for instance, you go into I don't know, maybe someone, I'm just thinking right now, someone goes into a meat slaughtering factory, and there's gonna be blood and guts and stuff on the floor where they're slaughtering, right? You might say, I'm gonna enter here with my left foot, man. It's a dirty place, maybe, right? Just as an example, right? So those affairs which are like this, then we begin with our left. Our filthy hands, we use filthy things like cleaning ourselves, we use our left. So for an example, let's talk about qiyas or something like this, where you might use your intellect to say, man, what else is that? What is ma ashbaha dhalik? What is similar to that? Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, when talking about using the siwak, he says, if you're using the siwak, which is another word for miswak, but that's the word you normally see in the hadith. If you use the siwak, right, for cleaning your mouth, you feel your mouth has changed, or you wake up in the morning and you want to change it because you know you need to brush your teeth because the smell in your mouth has changed, then you use your left hand because you're cleaning. Just like when you're removing dirt, so you use your miswak in your left hand, right? However, if you're doing it for the sunnah and you're not really cleaning your mouth, but you're doing it because it's the salat, the Prophet ﷺ said, if it were not for the fact it would be a difficulty upon my ummah, I would have commanded to use the siwak at every salat. So he said, now you're not really doing it for cleaning. You might have just brushed your teeth. You might have just woke up, but now I'm sitting here. I want to clean it. I want to do it for the sunnah. Then you use your right hand. Right? Then you use your right hand. So this is what he said. If you're cleaning your teeth, you just ate or something, use your left hand. You're doing it because you want to follow the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and this is something that he used to love to do. In fact, he died with the siwak on his he died when he was dying. He was, he used the siwak shortly before he died. He was dying. He told Aisha had a headache. She said, "Oh, my head." He said, "No, oh, my head." Right? And his headache was worse than hers. And still, when he saw the miswak, he didn't say, "Man, I don't care about nothing right now. I'm dying. My head is killing me. No." He said, "Oh, I need a miswak. I love miswak. I need to use that." When he saw it, she could tell he wanted it. So she took it from her brother Abdurrahman and made fresh bristles for him and moistened it for him, and he used it on his deathbed. This is something that he loved, so therefore we should love it. So when I do it out of that, then I use my right hand, and when I do it for cleanliness, I use my left hand, according to Ibn Taymiyyah. And some people say, no, it's not like that. You could use either hand, or you could do this, or you could do. There's room in this. But what do you see that is good? Then you should do it with the yameen, and what you see is bad, then you should start or do it with your yasar. Any questions?
لا.
Akhi, you're gonna have to do something because the letters are so close there. I don't know what you have typed there. Ni'al or not. I don't know. Maybe if you type in English letters. Na'al or ni'al. It's plural. It's ni'al. But we can look it up real quick. Maybe, yeah, na'al, correct. Na'al. Na'al is but not with where's it at? Ni'al here is plural. Na'al up above. Let me see where it's at. Na'al, well, lubsun na'al. Na'lun, like this. Right? Sukun on the ayn, that's what I was looking for. Na'lun. Not ni'al. I said ni'al, but na'lun. Right? Na'lun. And ni'al is plural. Well, lubsu na'al or ni'al. Na'al for singular, ni'al for plural. No, jazakallah khairan for bringing that to our attention. Any other questions?
لا.
طيب. Inshallah, there's no other class because the brother is sick. Make dua for him that he gets better and that he's able to perform all his duties because he's a busy person. He's the imam of a masjid and teacher of a school and other stuff that he does on the side for dawah. So ask Allah to make him better and to heal him and inshallah ta'ala, we'll see you tomorrow. We have tomorrow Quran, Hadith, and Aqidah from Usul al-Sunnah of Imam Ahmed. طيب. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.